The keyboard and mouse are the basis of how we interact with a computer. They largely determine how comfortable work and entertainment in front of the screen will be. Sticking keys, unexpected double clicks, loud switches, or dropped connections, I wouldn't wish that on any of you. That's why I decided to check out another set. The brand Dareu offers a wide selection of accessories in this category. For the test, I chose a really compact hot-swappable keyboard and a lightweight mouse with a very flashy color scheme. This is Pavel, and you're watching the TechManiac HD channel. Let's get started. This video is brought to you with the support of the GVG Mall platform. It's a huge store specializing in keys for PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and even Google Play. You can get practically everything here, from Steam gift cards to software like Office or Windows. If you're still struggling with that annoying message reminding you to activate, check out the second link in the description right now. You'll receive the purchased key within a few minutes, and all you have to do is paste it into the activation settings. This will not only properly activate your copy of the system, but also allow you to upgrade to Windows 11 without any problems. You can activate and assign the Office package to your account just as easily, and with the code TMHD, you'll get an extra 20% discount which can increase to 30% during various holidays and events. Stop overpaying and visit the website now. Because of the bold use of colors, the mouse immediately caught my eye. The model I'm presenting today comes in as many as 3 variants. Subtle black with dots resembling stars, and also pink, which is also available on the manufacturer's website. But let's focus on the version that stands out the most here. The box itself already reveals the appearance and color scheme of the Dareu A950 mouse. The manufacturer reveals the basic technical data on the front of the packaging, which are described in even more detail on the back. Most of the information we're looking for when first encountering this type of equipment, so let's move on to the contents of the set. Of course, this is a multicolored mouse, but inside we'll also find a docking station in white. There's also a white 1.5 meter USB Type-C cable with a braided sleeve. It's as flexible as a shoelace, making it perfect for mice. We also have additional grips here, which are perforated stickers for the sides of the mouse and the main buttons. As I mentioned, the mouse, although it has a symmetrical and definitely classic shape, reveals its gaming origins through its color scheme. Blue color on most of the body, 2 basic white buttons. In addition, we have 3 extra buttons here. 2 are located under the right thumb, and the middle one is for changing the DPI, which here are a very interesting yellow accent that gives the whole thing an 80s vibe. If that wasn't enough, the numerous inserts and inscriptions on the surface give it an extra aggressive character. Maybe it's just a matter of taste, but in my opinion, the inscriptions and the functions written here and there are an interesting stylistic touch. As befits a product for gamers, RGB lighting is a must-have here. Fortunately, it's not overdone. Regardless of the color variant, there are a few LEDs embedded in the gaps under a transparent plastic strip. If you think that RGB in a mouse is completely useless, let me quickly tell you that in this case, the manufacturer has found a really good use for this feature. Each DPI level has its own color, and yes, you can change it to your preference. For example, blue for Windows, red for Red Dead Redemption, light blue would fit Fortnite, and green, for example, for GTA 5. Your favorite DPI setting is always where you need it. However, we'll talk about the software itself later. There's also a lot going on at the bottom of the mouse. We have as many as 5 Teflon feet here, 2 of which are small and located right next to the centrally placed sensor. Below, there's a slider used to switch between connection modes. The button activates Bluetooth pairing, and a small LED is placed next to it. 2 gold-plated metal charging contacts emerge from the black nameplate sticker, and under a small cover below, the USB receiver is cleverly hidden. Gaming mice should stand out for their relatively low weight. In fast-paced games, this is extremely important and affects not only hand, wrist or forearm fatigue, but also overall precision. Especially during a gaming session that lasts several hours, the tested model weighs 88 grams. That's not much, although among the top wireless gaming mice, there are some that weigh less than 70 grams, and those with holes, no RGB, and small batteries can even get close to 50 grams. But if we look at typical office mice, like the Logitech MX Master, which weighs almost 3 times as much, it's easy to understand why an 88-gram mouse is 100 times better choice than a heavy office mouse. The mouse being tested measures 123 millimeters in length, 64 in width, and 39 in height. The material used here feels nice to the touch, and I would describe the shape as universal. The main buttons use KBS 2.0 technology. Although the manufacturer hasn't revealed exactly which switches were used here, we only know that they are rated for 50 million clicks. In this technology, however, the way the movement from the large button housing is transferred to the switch itself has been handled a bit differently. The mechanism's lever is definitely longer than in most constructions of this type, which results in less force needed to activate the switch, and as a result, its sound is gentler. Just listen for yourselves. Although the mouse is described as wireless, in reality it can work just as well with a cable. Many people are still convinced that wireless communication isn't fast enough. There's only partial truth to that. Fortunately, there is special software that will tell us at what frequency the data is reported to the computer. A typical office mouse achieves about 120 Hz. The A950 model, when connected via Bluetooth, averages around 135 Hz up to 150 Hz. On the other hand, with a wireless connection using the dedicated dongle, the reporting rate goes up to almost 1000 Hz. With a wired connection, it's basically the same, so only Bluetooth performs worse here, but that's not all. The Bluetooth form of communication has another drawback. We're then limited to sensor sampling at resolutions of 800, 1200 and 1600 dpi, while the mouse's maximum capabilities reach up to 12,000 dots per inch. But let's talk about the battery. 930 mAh translates to 120 hours of operation, but that's for the Bluetooth connection. When using the dedicated adapter, this time is reduced to 48 hours, but I want to emphasize that this refers to continuous operation. It may still not seem like much, but if we play for 3 hours a day, we can charge it once every 2 weeks. However, in this model, charging itself is actually a pleasure. Plugging in a USB cable, even a Type-C, still isn't one of my favorite activities, but putting it on the docking station is satisfying. Especially if the magnetic field helps us fit it in properly, this form of charging is more convenient and, after all, much more aesthetic. The station is powered using USB-C, but on the front there's a Type-A port that can serve as a hub to connect any other device. But there's nothing stopping you from putting a mouse receiver there either. It's just that for some reason this port seems to have been installed upside down. Not only is the writing on the receiver upside down, but basically anything you plug in there will be upside down too. It looks like an oversight by the manufacturer. On the bottom of the station, there are 2 adhesive feet protected by a thin film. Thanks to them, we can attach the base to the desk. There's also a button here. It activates or changes the lighting mode of the base. This stylistically complements the mouse lighting and illuminates the surface of the desk. The whole setup looks really neat. The mouse resting on the base is well displayed and always ready to use. At first, I had the impression that the base was too light or the magnets were too strong, but in reality, when you grab it, you just need to gently tilt it to one side, which breaks the magnetic force and leaves the base in place. Let's move on to the dedicated software then. In the first tab, we can change the function of any button. Personally, I don't see a reason why we would want to change the function of the left or right button, but for the rest, absolutely. I reassigned buttons 4 and 6 to switch virtual desktops in Windows. On one, you work or do your homework. On the other, you do something completely different. One click and you have a completely different workspace. On button 2, I have a multimedia profile. The buttons under the thumb are used to control the volume. By pressing the scroll wheel, I pause the music, and the one that was originally assigned to change DPI, I set as the next track, and you know what? It's really super convenient. But the software features don't end there. You can also set a parameter to prevent accidental double clicks. Debounce, which is the time between consecutive activations of the switch, and its setting will also be automatically saved for the current program. The second tab is used to configure the sensor. Dareu A950 uses an AIMWL chip. It's hard to find any data about it, but by comparing its parameters and the way it works, it seems to be a copy of the PMW 3360 sensor, which is currently one of the best choices on the market. The minimum distance at which the sensor reads, known as LOD, can be set to level 1 or 2. The operating speed is fine, 7.6 ms, and the acceleration is 35 g. If we want, we can reduce the number of switchable DPI levels. Besides, I personally believe that there's no point in exceeding 2000 DPI. Of course, there are also mouse lighting settings here. We have 6 predefined illumination options to choose from, which can be modified by changing the color. Here we can also set the lighting timeout, the transition speed, and the color change settings, and we can activate the option to turn off RGB when the mouse is in motion. I really like this feature. The lighting is reactivated when no movement is detected. After all, when we use the mouse, we almost completely cover the lighting anyway, so who needs it then? This feature allows you to significantly extend the battery life. Now let's talk about the keyboard, the test's second highlight. EK861 Trinity GTR is a more advanced variant. The basic version of this model has fewer options for connecting to a PC and only comes with a 2-tone keycap set. What we have in this box is a completely black unit. On the packaging, the manufacturer included pictograms explaining the main features. The set includes a keyboard, a color-matched cable that's just under 2 meters long, and it ends with a USB-C connector. The adapter for fast wireless connection is similar in size and appearance to the one from the mouse. There's also a kick-up and a switch puller, which is a tool that lets you remove a keycap and allows you to take the switch out of its socket. The instruction manual is in English. It's worth reading because Dareu's keyboard has several useful keyboard shortcuts. As you can see, the entire set is consistently black, from the case through the keycaps, the slider, all the way to the feet. Alternatively, you can get the keyboard in white, with blue or, like here, red switches. Regardless of the version, the key layout and size are the same. Ergonomics is a relative concept because it largely depends on the preferences of the person using the keyboard. Some people prefer a flatter position, while others prefer a greater tilt. Some are fans of a low profile, while others are die-hard fans of a high key travel. Here we have traditionally high keys, and their tilt angle can be slightly adjusted. The feet that handle this are designed quite cleverly. The bottom rubber pads are permanently attached to prevent the keyboard from sliding. Closer to the back, there are 2 square blocks with rubber finishes that hide magnets inside. You just need to turn the block a quarter turn, and the magnet will hold it in a tilted position. To my eye, the tilt goes from about 5 degrees to around 7. This keyboard is a compact version, meaning it's missing a lot of keys. The layout is a typical 60% layout. While we're usually used to having 108 keys here, there are only 61. The numeric section has been removed, as well as the top row of function keys, and even the block with insert, delete, or page up and page down buttons. Additionally, the arrow keys have been integrated with the rest of the keys. By choosing this layout, you have to be sure that it will suit you. This keyboard is designed with gaming in mind and is meant specifically for gaming. On the other hand, it is completely unsuitable for accounting work. Notice that in 60% keyboards, there isn't even an F key section, so to refresh a website, you need to hold down the FN key. The arrow keys also serve a secondary function here, which is very annoying when working with text. However, there is an alternative. By holding FN together with the O key, we switch the default mode to arrow keys. It may be annoying, but the reason why so many gamers choose a 60% keyboard is simple. This drastic size reduction gives you more room for mouse movement, which is key. The keycaps themselves, meaning the key covers, are made using double-shot molding technology. The black ABS surface is over-molded with transparent plastic. This way, the main marking on the key lets light through from the LED placed under the upper area of the switch. Additional markings, such as F1, are printed on the top of the keycap, so they are not illuminated. Under the keycap, there is a switch that is responsible for transmitting the response to pressing the key. Darius used his own version of red switches here, which are quiet, linear switches. They are also characterized by smooth operation and minimal force required for activation. It only takes 45 grams. For comparison, a loud blue switch from the same factory requires 65 grams of pressure. If you don't tend to press the keys all the way down hard, the sound here is definitely gentle and everything works extremely smoothly. The switch activates at a depth of 2 mm. Longer keys have additional stabilizers with a similar cross-shaped design as the switches themselves, so even the spacebar has uniform pressure across its entire surface. A huge advantage here is the option to easily remove individual switches. Even though the manufacturer states their durability at 50 million presses if one of them fails, we can replace any switch ourselves without the need for soldering it to the keyboard's circuit board. The cost of a similar one is usually a few zlotys or probably even less if we look directly at a Chinese supplier. A simple procedure will let us enjoy the product for a longer time, and if we get bored with the way the current switches work, we have the option to replace the entire set with another one that has a completely different operating characteristic. It's also obvious that a gaming keyboard must support full N-key rollover, which basically means that you can press almost all the keys at the same time and they will be correctly recognized by the operating system. For regular membrane keyboards, it's from 3 to 5 keys, which is why they're not suitable for gaming. The keyboard, just like the mouse, works in 3 communication modes: cable, Bluetooth, and USB receiver. The EK861 GTR model from Dareu uses Bluetooth version 3.0 for compatibility with older devices and the new 5.0 standard. With it, you can pair up to 2 independent devices. The software for this keyboard is completely optional, since most of its features are available directly through keyboard shortcuts, so there's no need to elaborate on it here. But it's worth mentioning the battery. The 1900 mAh battery, when using full backlighting, allows for up to 16 hours of operation. Reducing the brightness or deactivating the RGB significantly extends this time, but there's no need to worry about the battery draining unnecessarily. After 5 minutes of inactivity, the backlight will turn off. A low battery level will be indicated by the escape key lighting up red. When the battery is fully charged, the escape key will light up green. Both the keyboard and the mouse offer very good quality for the price. The mechanical compact EK861 keyboard provides a pleasant typing experience and, above all, is very easy to mod. It is truly a great and affordable base for any keyboard customization enthusiast. The blue and white mouse with yellow elements is definitely very flashy. At home, I really enjoy using it. Unfortunately, such a flashy design won't work in every situation and place, so for work at the office, I take the black version. This one definitely looks much better, and despite the active RGB lighting, it doesn't offend anyone wearing a suit. It's almost subdued, I would say normal, but compared to my office mouse, using this one is 1,000 times more enjoyable. After all, it has a sensor and switches that match those in much more expensive, fast responsive gaming mice. The set works great not only for gaming at the desk, but also when I want to relax in the evening on the couch in front of the big TV screen. The size makes it easy for me to use this set even on the small surface of a folding table. Of course, excellent and fast wireless communication makes gaming from the couch an incredibly enjoyable experience. And you might be asking now, okay, but are there any things here that bother me? And I'll answer yes, of course. Although it's not something fancy, when it comes to the keyboard, the only thing I can complain about is the kickups made of ABS plastic, which is more prone to wear than PBT. Over time, they might just start to shine. Although, if you think about it, since the whole magic of this keyboard is about customization, some people will eventually decide to completely modify it anyway. You can find the official store links for both the keyboard and the mouse in the links below this video. If you're interested, I have a 15% discount code for you. Just go to the product page and even without creating an account, enter TMHD in the discount field. After applying it, the price will be reduced. All 3 products were ordered through the WZ BZ Future website and they were delivered to me in Ireland in just over 2 weeks. If you want to see more of my content, go to www.techmaniahd.pl, where everything is nicely organized and you'll easily find what interests you most. That's all from me. See you in the next one.